Hello, hello. My name is Hanna Kravchak and I am the CEO of Herakumen. Today I wanted to invite you to listen to our beautiful Alexandra Bachkova, who is an expert in virtual summits. And if you were thinking or planning starting your 2021 with a bang and decided to actually set up a summit, virtual summit, or some kind of webinar, I think this interview is going to be very useful, especially if you are crazy or insane enough to go global. We know how difficult it is, how insanely tiring it is, and how chaotic it can be. So just to avoid that kind of chaos, I invited Alexandra to tell us all about it, how to plan, how to prepare, how to avoid those little headaches and those big bangs. So Alexandra, I give the board to you. So could you tell us a bit about your expertise first?
For sure. Well, thank you, Hannah, so much for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to share my experience in virtual events. Well, I've been doing virtual events for a while, actually, even before the pandemic has started. I've been doing webinars, summits, and retreats. And yeah, it's taken quite up this year in 2020 with a lot of things happening in the virtual events world. And actually, quite a few revolutions in the virtual events world have occurred. And as Hannah very correctly said, it is I wouldn't say difficult, but it is a task that requires quite a lot of planning and thought. So if you are embarking on the journey for virtual events, I'll definitely support you because it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of benefits, but you have to be prepared for it.
Yeah, and so what would be the first step? So if someone never done it before, what would be your advice? What to start the planning? Because obviously there are so many things that you have to think about. But what is the first one that you would start with?
Yeah, I think like with everything that you do in life and business, I think you just want to ask yourself why. Why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it for yourself or you're for a business or for somebody else? And there are many reasons, and all of them are definitely valid reasons to pursue. But I think as a host, you have to be clear, because otherwise, if you're not clear about the why, then the structure falls apart, and then you do not have the same results as you would expect from the summit. So either it can be you want to build an audience, you want to launch a product, you want to earn some money, you want to get visibility, or you want to connect with people, or you want to just share some knowledge of yourself, and that will inform the type of event you're going to be hosting, because virtual events is a huge range, starting from workshops, challenges, boot camps, virtual retreats, virtual summits, and there is a lot of course, similarities, but obviously a lot of differences between all of them. And having the why clearly stated out for yourself really informs you what type of event you are going to plan and how you're going to structure it.
So the first one is why, and the second one would be?
Well, and the second one is how, basically. So how are you going to do it?
Do you think a person who never done it before, they can do it on by themselves, or do you think it's impossible?
Of course, you can do it by yourself, even a virtual summit, even a global virtual summit, because the way you structure the virtual summit is different. It can be a one-day event. It can be a 7-day, a 10-day event. It can be either pre-recorded. It can either be live. You can have 30 or 50 speakers, or you can have 10 or 12 speakers. And it also depends how much time you've got. If you're a solo entrepreneur and you want to start a virtual summit, you really want to either try it out, or you want to use it to launch a product or gain visibility or a bit of audience growth, then I would definitely advise to start small. Probably start with a pre-recorded, or at least a session of the summit should be pre-recorded, just to save you headaches, especially with the different time zones. I mean, I can tell you now we're planning a live virtual summit, and it is a headache. We have people from all around the world, speakers with all different time zones, and you just have to make sure that everybody is there on time, and actually that your schedule is bulletproof, because you have to verify the time zones millions of times, especially if you catch the time change period. Well, for in any case. So there are many aspects that you have to consider. So there's nothing wrong with starting small. And if you see those huge summits, that 5-figure launches, it's fantastic. But if you just starting out, if you have a solo entrepreneur, if you don't have a huge network of speakers, or if you do not have a huge engaged audience, it's totally fine to start small and then do a bigger one next time, because you learn so much from your first event.
So when you do this first event and you are lucky enough to have a support network, to have people to help you out, what kind of roles do you think that you would assign people to do so then you are not overloaded? So what kind of tasks do you need to assign for every person?
Sure. So the first one, I think you as a host have to be very clear about the theme and the topics. And I think that's something yourself you can do, or you can brainstorm with a partner, or you can even sometimes people even assign a whole team and then brainstorm it out together. Then, of course, you need somebody to take care of sourcing the speakers and following up on them. Either you do it yourself or you have somebody else do that. You can partly automate the process, but of course, in the beginning, it's always nice to build a relationship, to reach out to them, not with a cold email that is copy and pasted, but really something more personal, something shows that you know the speaker. And usually my emails to the speakers are never alike anyways. So that's the first task. Then of course, you have somebody to do the landing page, to do the copy of the emails once people sign up, and also the marketing material. And then you also have somebody that needs to follow up with the speakers, with the recordings if you have a pre-recorded, or when you're scheduling a live event, to make sure that you have the program in place and that everybody has their spot confirmed. So these are the main tasks that you have to look out for.
Do you need any special tools? Do you need like I don't know, what programs are you using, or yeah, mainly programs or some social media tools?
Yeah, well, it's a huge question on its own. It really much depends on your budget and how you structure it. So whether it's pre-recorded, whether it's live, whether you already have certain tools in your business that you're using. And whenever I talk to the clients, we always go first to what actually they're using now, what email automation they're using. Are they using anything like a Teachable, Thinkific, or Kajabi as a membership site? Do they have a WordPress website? What else do they have? Any plugins or anything else that they have? Are they tech savvy or not really? Maybe if they're not, then maybe it makes sense to have somebody come on board to do the tech. I mean, you have to be also realistic, because if you have somebody outsourcing all the time, it can become pricey, and you have to make sure that you actually, the summit pays for it. So whenever you approach an online summit, I think you should always approach it as a usual business venture that you have. So you really budget before and after. But of course, in terms of the other tools, you can get away with Zoom and Facebook. I mean, that's the low cost, and maybe a WordPress website or a landing page that you build with your email automation provider. I mean, that's really the basic, and you can get away with it. However, of course, if you have the budget, then you can reach out to certain platforms. For example, Hopin is quite a famous platform that is very well geared towards live events, or you can do pre-recorded that you upload on a membership side or on your WordPress side. And then you have to take care of the membership area, either with a plugin or again with another software. So there are different moving parts that you have to consider. But first of all, think about what you have in store in your business, what you're using now, and also what you're going to be using afterwards. Because if, for example, you're using the summit to launch a course and you do not have, I don't know, something like Teachable or Kajabi yet, then maybe it makes sense for you to invest in it, use it for the summit and afterwards for the course. However, if you do not plan to have a course, then don't invest in it, because it's monthly costs. And if you have the all access pass, which is quite the famous way to do the summits, right? To sell the recordings if you don't have a product to sell, or if you just want to make some money extra on the summit, then you have to think about how you're going to store those videos, because this can be actually, not that it's a huge cost, but it's a recurring cost for you on a monthly basis. And the reality is that people probably not going to watch those recorded videos after half a year. So that's something that you also have to consider, just to make it financially viable for yourself.
is it possible to do a summit without money?
If you do it all by yourself, if you don't count your hours spent as the money spent.
No, let's just go this way, that you are doing, so you have to do everything yourself, but do you still have to invest in,
well,
like, what's the cheapest way to do it? What's the cheapest way?
Let's say close to zero budget. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can use MailerLite, right? Because you have up to 1,000 subscribers, it's for free, and it has quite good landing pages. They're not perfect, but it's usable. Or you upgrade it to $10 a month, and you can use their websites, and then their email generation. So it's $10 per month. It's not a huge amount of money. You probably would need to buy a domain for the summit. So you use Namecheap or GoDaddy, and it's again anywhere from $8 to $15 for a year. So that's really a little money. Unless you're doing some extravagant domain that's very popular, but most probably not if you're on a budget. Then what you need is Zoom. For example, you do pre-recorded, right? You're not going to do live. So you can do Zoom, which is for free if you do one-on-one interviews, or if your speakers just submit their recorded keynotes. So you don't even have to worry about interviewing them. And then you can use Facebook, right? So you can stream. So you can use a tool called OneStream. I don't know how much it is, but it's not going to cost you a fortune. If you use it just for a month or two for the summit, you can just live stream the videos into the Facebook group, or you can just upload them. And then for the hosting, that's more expensive. So you can either do Dropbox, G Drive, but you'd have to probably buy some storage because the videos are going to be live, or you can use another Facebook group to store the videos. But again, you'd probably need like Vimeo or something to host the actual videos because they're going to be live, and Facebook is not going to be able to upload all of them. So that's very cheap. So that's probably cost you maybe, I don't know, $200 for the whole summit, which is not huge. Of course, if you're not going to do any of the recordings or the all access pass, if you have some other means to monetize it, which is also possible, then you just have the summit there available for everybody to watch. For example, you upload the videos or the links from YouTube onto the Facebook platform, and then you launch a course or product or service, and that's how you monetize after the summit. Then you don't even have to worry about the hostings, which you reduces the cost once more. So there is a way. Absolutely, there is a way.
There is always a way, isn't it? If there is a willingness, there is a way, that's for sure. The only thing we always have to remember that if you don't pay for services, then you have to do it yourself, and that costs you even more in your time because you're spending hours and hours getting frustrated probably because no one is an expert in everything. So it's great to have that support network. But I think that the more you do it, the more people you meet, and then collaboration is easier, and people want to contribute and help you out because they will have some incentive in it too. So the more people who would be willing to contribute and who are at this starting point as you are, then most probably you are not going to be so overburdened. But can you tell us an example of mistakes, the biggest mistakes that people commit when they start for the first time, or when they are newbies, amateurs, and they don't even realize that they should have thought about something like that? Or if you can tell us any horror stories, that would be even better. But I'm not going to go into that if you don't want to. So just mistakes would be fine.
Some mistakes. Well, horror stories. Well, there are always mistakes that you make, even if you're a professional. Sometimes things slip through the cracks. I can talk about my horror story. I've actually my very first virtual summit that I did, and it was quite a while ago. And, I was trying things out. I was trying things out in a new niche. And you know what happened? I didn't estimate the time correctly. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that happens probably to nearly everybody, that you do not estimate the amount of times that you have to do, the amount of tasks, that you have to do, and how much time it's actually going to take you to complete them. And that happened to me because I did a summit which was pre-recorded, the classical one, you pre-record and then you sell the all access pass. And then I was using Vimeo as a hosting platform. And so I was a little bit behind on editing the videos. And for some reason, and I did it cheap, right? I did it low budget. So I edited the videos in Lightworks, which is a cheap, nearly cost-free platform. And it took me a long time. And then it took me a long time to upload them. But I did it like the night before, thinking that, okay, I have time, it's fine, because I was so busy with all the other tasks. You know what happened? I didn't have the videos on time. So actually I had to write an apologetic email to the people that, you know, they will watch only the first two videos now and then the other ones throughout the day. And I did get some nasty emails back saying that, you know, actually we allocated the time of the day to watch the summit, and now we can only watch 2-3 presentations and the rest will come the second day. I mean, even then I still made money, right? Even then I still had good reviews afterwards that from those people who actually enjoyed the content and were not there to watch it on when they were released, right? Because you have 24 hours to watch those videos. So it was still positive all in all. I still made money. I still grew a list, but it was really nerve-wracking on the day. It was something else, but it happens. It happens to the best of us. So learning from that, what I say is plan well. First of all, know your why, right? Why you're doing it, because you'll be surprised how often I talk to clients or people who are just wanting to start a virtual summit, and they're saying that, well, I really want to, you know, host a summit just because, you know, everybody now and their neighbor are hosting a summit at the moment, right? So if you're like, okay, I want to host a summit as well, I just feel like I need to get my message out in the world. And I'm thinking, okay, great. So, but what's the purpose? No, what's your business? How are you going to monetize? Because it takes a lot of time. And if you're not getting something in return, either an email list or some money, or you launch a product, you're going to be frustrated at the end of it. I mean, we're all business owners, and we have to make sure that whatever we do just pays in one way or the other at the end of it. So you have to be realistic about it. You also have to be realistic about your time. So good time management, and ask people who have done it before, and do invest in certain tools like toolkits or planning, or just, you know, get somebody to help you do that, because it will just ease your frustration so much more. You'll be so much more confident going forward when planning your event. So I think those are some of the pitfalls to avoid. And another one is actually relating to speakers. I have my own on how you should approach a speaker. It's not that everybody shares that. I mean, there's different tendencies of how you approach the summit, right? So some people say, okay, we're going to ask the speakers, we're going to get the best speakers. Of course, you can get some speakers with larger audiences, some speakers maybe with smaller audiences, depending on your connections, on the expertise, etc., etc. But there are those that say that, okay, we're going to host a summit, and only if you have a certain XK amount of subscribers, only then can you become a speaker. I'm against writing an email like that. I mean, if somebody puts it out to me, for me, it's really off-putting. And I think for me, it sounds like a list grabbing technique. So of course, a summit is a collaborative marketing approach. Of course, the speakers will help you. If you nurture them well, and if you have good relationships with them, they will help you to promote the summit, and you'll get some subscribers from them. But telling them, okay, you need to have a certain number of people just to participate is really off-putting, because there are such great experts out there just starting out. And we have all been there, right? We've all started out. So you can, and if you want to grow your list, of course, you can seek for some speakers with larger audiences. But mind you, things have changed quite a lot in the online world. And virtual summits, even though they're great list building techniques, they're not as efficient as they used to be even a year ago. And I can see the difference quite clearly. So you as a host have to take the responsibility now in 2021. Regardless of whatever anybody is saying to you, right? 2021 is a new era of virtual events, and you as a host have to take responsibility for marketing. You as a host have to take initial steps to nurture even a small amount of audience yourself. You have to lay some of the groundwork. You can't just rely on your speakers, because there's no surprise in it, since the online world has become much more busy and much more saturated. People do not share their email lists as willingly as before. And even if you invite some A-list speakers, if you're just starting out, I don't think they're going to promote it in their group, or they're not going to promote it to the same extent that makes people, oh, I really want to sign up, right? There's a difference how you promote it. Are you going to speak and say, wow, this is an amazing event, guys, you really should sign up. I'm going to be a speaker, come and join me. You mention it a few times and then people come. Or you just write an email because, you know, you've been told that you need to write those 2-3 emails, send it out, and then hardly anybody comes, right? So really you have to be realistic about those things.
So just one more question before we finish. Why do you do it? Because for me, it sounds like, oh my God, I'm going to just cry. There's so many things you have to think about, prepare, get ready. There are so many unknown because you don't know how many people will sign up, how many speakers will turn up, whether the marketing is going to work. This is, I think, it's so unknown to so many people that it's so difficult to actually choose it, to choose it as your field of expertise, really, as something that you you connect to your earnings. So why on earth have you decided to actually go with that, with Virtual Summit?
Yeah,
Is it the adrenaline?
probably partly of it is. I'm sure it is.
It's like people like Formula One driving, or just speedway motorcycles, and they just don't care that they are going to die at the end. They are just going for it. It's just like, for me, this is what Virtual Summit preparation and everything, this is what it is. It's like really high adrenaline kick.
Yeah, it is. And then, I mean, of course, if you do a lot of the pre-planning, if you have enough time, if you have the expertise, it goes fine. But as one event planner says, it's not that if something goes wrong, when something goes wrong, you have to think on your feet. And it applies to any type of event, right? Virtual, non-virtual. And I've always liked planning, right? I'm a planning freak. I love it. And I love when little pieces come together. And yeah, that's just my jam. That's how it is. You're probably right. The adrenaline is part of it as well, because especially when the time approaches the event and certain things don't fall into places and you have to hustle to make it work, then yeah, it kicks in. But what I also like a lot about it is the connections that you build, especially with the speakers and also with the other partners that you collaborate. And this is so valuable because those kind of events, they really create a community. And if you are proper, not a list grabbing summit host, if you really nurture your relationships with the speakers, they become lifelong support system for you. They recommend you. You can form masterminds. You grow together as you progress in your entrepreneurial journey. And I think that's even much more valuable than anything else when it comes to virtual events, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I think we inspired quite a few people. I think we put off some people. It's like, no, this is too hard. But I really hope, I really do, that we inspired some people to decide, this is something for me, I would like to try, especially if they like adrenaline kick. That would be something you could actually get some enjoyment out of. Thank you so much, Alexandra. If someone would like to meet with you or talk to you more about that, we'll definitely put a link underneath with the contact details so they can contact you. And I hope we'll do some more videos together, interviews, so we can empower our ladies, our people, our audience who are watching to actually, if not do it themselves, then take part in one, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Hannah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.